and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, it's the budget session and actually the first real session of Modi 3.0 in Parliament. The budget has been announced, stated on the floor of the House. The debates are on, and it's pretty interesting because this time the opposition is going at it full throttle. Earlier on, during the last two tenures of the Modi government, there were protests, but most of the protests were out of the House with the opposition staging walkouts or making, I would say, because of the numbers, that protest was more token than anything. But now they have a renewed mandate, they have a renewed vigor. Rahul Gandhi, Akhilesh Yadav, all leading from the front. Even the Aam Aadmi Party, Raghav Chadha made some very interesting, his budget speech was very good. Mahua Moitra, of course, Abhishek Banerjee, new faces on the floor of the House. So we are seeing a very renewed, revigorated opposition in Parliament. And I'm very happy with the strategy that the protest is inside the House and not outside. They're at least coming and debating. There is democracy also on display. The Treasury benches, in fact, I'm finding are falling a bit short in terms of debate, in terms of fielding enough good speakers. So does the opposition have the upper hand despite not having all the numbers on the floor of the House? That is something we're going to be discussing and also keeping the budget in mind. Joining me for the discussion today is Aditi Phadnis. She's an editor and a columnist. Sandeep Ghosh, columnist and commentator, and Tehseen Poonawala, Congress supporter, and of course, columnist and political analyst. Aditi, the budget, of course, I want your views on that. And of course, how do you see the opposition handling the budget? Do you agree with what I've said so far?
Oh, completely, Priya. And I just want to add one throwaway line. I think the most standout moment in the budget speeches, as you mentioned, the budget speeches, was the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge addressing Mrs.
Nirmala.
Sitharaman as Mataji. And that was quickly corrected by the chair of who said that she's like your daughter. But I think it was a moment which kind of actually encapsulated the whole relationship between the opposition and the government. But on a more serious note, definitely the opposition is no longer quiet. It's no longer in screaming mode. They're making their point very systematically and at times walking out of the house, but coming back to join the discussion. So it's a very happy augury. And we should no longer describe the opposition as disruptive and so on, because they may be disruptive, but they're returning to engage.
But yeah, that's what I found really good. And Tehseen, the opposition strategy, how would you see it, since you do have an insider's view also on it?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. There are two things that I want to bifurcate. Number one, the budget itself, and number two, the opposition's reaction to it. Priya, I have been seeing politics for many years. All of y'all have covered politics, and generally the middle class in India does not get much in the budget. I have never seen a budget that rogers the middle class the way Nirmala Sitharaman ma'am has rogered the middle class and the salaried class, like people like y'all or Aditi ji. To say, the famous bulldozer model, the bulldozer has actually been driven over the middle class in this budget. You've removed indexation from real estate. I mean, what the hell are you thinking? That's an inheritance tax. You just don't want to call it an inheritance tax. By removing it, you put an inheritance tax on the middle class. My mom summarized the budget in these very simple lines. If you earn money, you pay tax. If you don't earn money, you pay tax. If you invest short term, you pay short term capital gain. If you invest long term, you pay long term capital gain. To stay alive, if you pay a health premium, you pay tax. If you want to survive and you buy oxygen, you pay tax. If you die, you pay tax on the coffin. To pay taxes, you pay cess on the taxes, and on the cess, you pay another tax. What the hell is wrong with this government? Have they somewhere lost the plot? I have never seen such an unfriendly budget. And the arrogance with which the finance minister speaks. And apart from that, short charging the South Indian states, the West state like Maharashtra. I am surprised Eknath Shinde went for the Niti Aayog meeting. Devendra Fadnavis ji, you must boycott it. My state of Maharashtra is now not even getting 7 paisa for every 1 rupee contribute. So you're just short charging us. You've left us in the lurch. So this is a budget that is visionless, directionless, much like the Prime Minister's election campaign. But having the opposition's reply in Parliament, I think they come well. I think they're prepared. I think they're trying to raise substantive points. I think the only obstacle that the opposition now faces in Lok Sabha is the Speaker Om Birla, who acts more like a Karyakarta of the RSS with due respect and a Karyakarta of the BJP than the Speaker. I was astounded. Forget the Congress, with his behavior with Abhishek Banerjee when he brought in demonetization. Demonetization is a legitimate economic discussion. To bring that in, while the opposition kept talking about Nehru and emergency, I mean, Om Birla ji must realize and rise above his stature, rise and this is last term as Speaker, right? Be the Speaker of the House. Don't act like a BJP Karyakarta. I really think he should not behave like that.
Well put, Tehseen, on your points. Sandeep, your view on the budget, do you also agree with Tehseen that this is bulldozing the middle class? It's a budget that seems to have pleased no one. Even BJP workers are unhappy about it, apart from the 2 states that are supporting the NDA. Sandeep?
Priya, BJP's biggest failing all through has been its communication, and now it's faltering even more. Okay, in this budget, I'm not saying that there are no negatives, there are no shortcomings, but even those, I don't think has been communicated well or defended well. We don't communicate a shortcoming, but we defend whatever is the controversial area, and I think they haven't been done. And today we are saying the BJP overall, the ranks seem a little disjointed, clueless. So even this was largely left to the finance minister to do, and the finance minister, although she's articulate, I don't think she always manages to, get across the points in an, can we say, an emotionally intelligent way, which just resonates with the people who understand it. So all these points, I don't agree. There are certain areas they could have easily been more, shall we say, large-hearted or open-fisted on many things in the middle class or the salary classes, which you're saying, because ultimately we have just 2.4 crore people paying taxes. So even if you were, as I said, a little more generous with them, I don't think it would have cost the exchequer too much. So, and the optics would have been greatly better. It's always true that, opposition will criticize whatever you do. And so it's like if you do, you're damned if you don't. So Mr. Chidambaram may claim that some of his ideas have been stolen, but today's world, stealing with pride is a legitimate strategy. So if they have actually done so, you shouldn't grudge them. You should actually take credit for it. But I think where I give the budget to credit is, despite all the factors which you're saying, BJP's lower numbers, the state elections which are around the corner, which are very, very, I think, crucial for them. I think they haven't lost the longer term perspective. So it is not a short term budget. They could have easily thought that, there's hardly 200 days before the next budget is due, so let us do another interim budget and go ahead. But they have tried to, I think, tick the right boxes, make the right noise, long-term perspective. So overall, despite all the criticism, I don't think you had blips in the Sensex, but things have come back, which shows that it has been received not negatively by the entire business community or the economic scene. Middle class, again, as I said, it's a matter of, it could have been handled sensitively in a more optic-friendly way. That hasn't happened. But by and large, I don't think it's a bad budget. And they have always the consistent, there's a 7 budget of Nirmala Sitharaman. All the budgets, I think, they've shied away from populist measures. And even in this, they have not tried to be populist, but there would have been many, many compulsions for them to get populist. And that's what gives me, that's where I'll give the government a lot more marks. But they have to get their entire communication strategy act together.
But is it, Aditi, just a communication problem issue, or is there something, seriously wrong in the sense of, I mean, so far no budget has failed to excite to find the stock market has picked up, but we don't know how much of it is retail investor, how much of it is, big business really pumping in money, the FIIs. So is the indication from towards the middle class, salaried class, are you happy with the way they're going,
Well, there are one or two things. Firstly, the middle class would have been very happy if they had restored the railway concessions, if they had, which, as you know, were removed for senior citizens and others. If they had restored a couple of other things that have been taken away from them, and not added imposts like the benefits of indexation and other things. But we have to be fair, as Mr. Ghosh said. Uh, the fact is that these kind of concessions and a concessionary regime cannot go on forever. The finance minister has promised a thorough review of the Income Tax Act. She has ordered a thorough review of other legislation and other structures which govern the tax. Standard deduction has gone up. So, I mean, it's give and take, and frankly, the budget is political in that it reflects the new change realities of Parliament. But other than that, there is not too much change between the interim budget and the final budget. In 2019, they were identical. This time, there is a difference, but it's to do with the new change realities.
Desi, you're sitting in Mumbai, so the stock
Yeah.
market also, how is that reaction? Yes, I agree with Sandeep, the stock market is again risen and, the fall has been halted to an extent. But on ground, as far as the retail investor is concerned, is the messaging right from the government? How do you take that?
No, the messaging is not right. BJP supporters are livid. Every single BJP supporter that I know, either on social media, that's the virtual world, or in real world, is angry. The memes that they are WhatsApping or tweeting or sending forward is, and they are all so angry. Look, what this budget has done, when you put in short-term capital gains, you've increased those taxes, you put in long-term capital gains, you've increased those taxes. I'm just talking about with regards to the stock market. You've completely destroyed investment sentiments. As an investor, after paying my taxes, I decide to invest in shares. I've paid my goddamn taxes. I've invested in shares. I've taken the goddamn risk. Now, when I choose to make a profit, you come and take money on it. Again. Why? And then you increase that. How the hell? What if I make a loss? Will you come and give me money? I've paid my taxes, right? And I can still understand I need to contribute. You now increase that. That means all you want to do is suck my blood. You don't want me to own. So what do you want me to invest in? Now you put an inheritance tax in real estate. Just for your viewers to understand, if I had bought a house in 2003, say for 50 lakhs, and I decide to sell it today in 2004, and I decide to sell it today in 24 for say 3 crore rupees, the indexation, even though they see the indexation now, they bought it at 12.5% in par with the long-term capital gains. Actually, I pay a lot more in taxes. So I'll end up paying 11 or 12 lakh rupees as taxes, which means I'll bring in cash into the economy, because why will I show my house that I'm selling for that much? So what you've done is you bought in an inheritance tax. Look at the effect, the cascading effect in 20, 30 years. So you bought in an inheritance tax. So all you want people to do is invest in FDs so that your friends can take loans. This is terrible, terrible as a budget. I mean, I don't know which bureaucrat. I don't believe the prime minister or the finance minister made this budget, because I don't think the finance minister is capable enough of understanding what a budget is. But more enough, I just think this is a bureaucratic budget. This is made by bureaucrats who are IAS officers. They have no clue on what the ground reality is. Yes, is the stock market going up? Yes, it is, because it's cash flow, people are going in. But eventually, this is not good for the economy. You're taking away the fundamentals of the economy. Number two, I also think there is zero relief for the salaried and middle class. Now, you can mock and say there are only 2 crore people who pay taxes, there are only 2.5 crore, but these are the bulk of the economy. This is where revenue, people like you, Priya, salaried people like you is the backbone of this economy. How long are we going to keep hitting the backbone? At some point, we got to stand up for them. What is the plan to bring in more people under the tax net, bring in and then revise that? There is zero plan. Now, for the last 10 years, we've been hearing this is the next budget will be something better in the long run. भाई 10 साल हो गए मोदी जी को प्रधानमंत्री बनते, 11वां साल है. अब long term इससे ज्यादा क्या है? What is long term beyond this, yaar? I mean, he has more 4 years as prime minister, and maybe if BJP wins, Amit Shah ji or Yogi ji will he's not becoming third, fourth time prime minister. What long term more? I mean, now
we'll never say never with Modi, Desi. We never
say never, but that's a disaster, because clearly 10 years is not long term for him. And clearly all the budget speeches about Nehru and Indira Gandhi. So now what more long term? They have to do it now. If they can't bite the bullet now, when are they going to bite the bullet? So they have completely destroyed the Indian economy. They've destroyed the salary class. And this is one reason why anybody who's above 70 crores or 80 crores in assets, anybody or liquidity is buying a house in Dubai. Just go to Dubai right now. You'll see it's filled with people from Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore. They're all moving to Dubai. Why? Because of what this tax terrorism. One more thing that they haven't addressed, and I'll end it here. ED. The way ED is going after businessmen, and I know that I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm saying this, but I have the guts to say it. ED is become a blackmailing unit. पता है एक letter आ जाता है ED के किसी छोटे अफसर का, then you have to go running to the ED, you go running to the lawyer, and the settlement's happening. ED has to be reined in. If you want business to flourish in India, ED has to be reined in. Tax terrorism and ED are destroying businesses in India.
Okay, ED, I'll say for another discussion, but before we go for a break, Shandi.
And I'm not saying it politically. I'm not saying political about ED at all. I'm talking about businessmen, legitimate businessmen who are being blackmailed by small people in ED.
Okay. No, good point. Sandeep, your response to what Tehseen has said, and then we'll take a break.
See, I'm not, I was quite confused whether Tehseen was making a political speech or an analysis of the budget. Because what I could take him on many facts which he said on the, on the economics in the budget. But, politics is a matter of narrative, which I don't want to, as like the ED or any other issue. It's a myth to say, the worst critic, Narendra Modi government has not increased the tax net. In fact, that is the whole problem, because GST has increased the tax net, the amount of income tax returns which is coming in, and that's why this thing you're having additional collection. But the problem is, which all of us agree, all these things have also created, rather than ease of living, ease of business, it has complicated that. There is a lot more procedural issues. So those are the things which people are talking about. So but they have increased the tax net systematically. There's, nobody is saying, why are we not taxing agricultural income even after so many years of independence? Why a huge section of our politicians are farmers? Or, even so many others, just like you're talking about people going to Dubai, everybody is an agriculturist, for the film star or farmer or everybody. So there are lots of gaping loopholes. And if they do, like one thing just come in this budget, no one is talking about, but I can guarantee you there'll be huge pushback, is the Aadhaar on land, which they say unique identification number is going to open a Pandora's box, because a lot of Benami things are going to come on, and you see the kind of pushback will come from across the board. So, a lot has been done, and it's counterfactual or counterintuitive to say this government has destroyed the economy. None of the statistics, none of the outlook across the globe shows anything. We are talking about the stock market. In fact, the problem with the stock market, which has been highlighted in the economic survey, is there are a lot more retail, and this has been the statistics, there are a lot more retail investors who are running it, who understand nothing about it and going by the boom. What's happening because of that? These are bigger issues. There are a lot of people, youngsters and everybody, taking money. It's from statistics from these fintech companies. You'll get on WhatsApp everywhere, immediately 5 lakh rupees loan given to you without questions asked. People are taking that money and putting it in stock exchange. And that is where, if the stock market tanks, these people are going to be, and that has been highlighted. I think the government is very forthright in highlighting that in economic survey. So those things, so just, mindless. Certainly, Tehseen obviously knows his numbers better. When you incur losses, you can set it off against the profits. You pay only on the profits. If I've incurred losses in the stock market, I would set it off against my thing, and I'll only pay on my net gains. So it's not that only the gain is being taxed and losses are not being compensated. So those are, I think, matter of, rhetoric, luster, everything. But some of the points are there. We've all admitted. I'm more worried not about being a small taxpayer. Hopefully, Priya, you and I won't get hounded by ED, but what we get hounded by are the procedural issues. That is something which is complained even by whether it's the traders, small traders, whether it is we talk to my community of chartered accountants, everybody says these things have become far, far more complex. Whereas we talk about, sabka saath, sabka viswas, or whatever it is for the assessment and the rest of it.
All good points, Sandeep. I agree with you. I'm going to take a quick break and come back. I know Tehseen wanted to rebut. I want to get Aditi in, but just a short break. So stay with us. to Roundtable. We're here discussing the politics of the Parliament session and, of course, the budget. Aditi, we spoke about the cons of the budget, the pros of the budget. Sandeep has highlighted some of the stronger points. But in terms of, this is, we must also look at the larger picture. This is the first year of his third term. This is when you take the hard decisions and you do, if the softs follow in the years that come. So in keeping that in mind, how would you review the budget?
That's a very good point. And yes, it's true that hard decisions have not been taken beyond reviews of various legislations, various tax systems, and so on. Issues like disinvestment, issues like what is the approach to disinvestment? Are you going to disinvest in government-owned entities which are profit-making? These kind of decisions could have been taken, but I think politics has slowed down any drastic decision making on that front. So that has not happened. Taxing the very rich also has not happened. This was something the government was toying with, and we have not seen any evidence of that in this budget. So yeah, it's a budget, as I said earlier, it's a budget that reflects the political reality rather than the economic imperative.
Okay, and one more quick question to you, Aditi. Who are the speakers that you felt, stood out or surprised you? Abhishek Banerjee, I think Tehsim took his name. I was also pretty, he spoke well. So the new speaker, the new lot that has come on, who's standing out in your point of view?
Well, some new speakers, particularly Hindi speakers, have been good. The person who stood out for me was Mr. Chidambaram, who made very important points, I think, and I heard his speech with rapt attention from beginning to end. In the Lok Sabha also, there were many speakers who made good speeches. Yeah, Abhishek Banerjee stood out for the fire and fury, but others also spoke well. And on the whole, there are a whole lot of new people who have come into Parliament. They are very interesting people. I met in the lobby Vansi, who is the great grandson of Mr. Venkat Rao, who Priya, you and I know as a very senior Congress leader. I also met Sagar. I also met Sagar, who is the youngest MP from Bidar in Karnataka, and he's just crossed 25. He's just turned 26. So with all this, I think going forward on economic issues also, all these people have a business background. Going forward, further discussions are going to be very interesting in Parliament.
And Parliament, hopefully, as we discussed earlier, is functioning. Tehsim, you wanted to come in on what Sandeep said and make some other points.
Let me tell you with no censorship how the government has screwed the middle class, and I'm using the word very strongly. The government forced people to invest in SGB gold bonds, right? They said, no, don't buy gold, don't buy gold. Those who bought gold in cash, right? The politicians who bought physical gold, 100 grams or 1 kg or whatever, they are happy. They bought at 4,000, 5,000, that is 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs. Those who invested in gold bonds, because the government asked you to invest, now they've reduced duty, they've dropped the prices, and it's a compulsory lock-in, you can't sell for 8 years. You screwed the middle class, but those who bought in cash, say at 4,000 during COVID, or 5,000 or 6,000. Today gold is at 7 lakhs or 6 lakh 90. They've made their cash, not paid taxes. So honest people are screwed by this government. I'm saying it very honestly. If you have cash, go buy 100 grams gold. As you see these coins that ED recovers. Now you say that, okay, we put long-term capital gain, which is an inheritance tax. Nobody's talking about that in house. You went after Sam Pitroda for the inheritance tax. Now you put an inheritance tax. Why haven't you put stamp duty in it? You're not considering stamp duty. Who's taking the stamp duty? Government. So government takes a stamp duty on a house Priya buys, on which she takes a loan. Nor is the interest considered, nor is the stamp duty. But indexation, you have to pay the government. And you buy a house after paying your taxes. You can't buy a house before paying your taxes. Now, Priya, this stupidity. Oh, Aadhaar is game changer on land. Game changer. Aadhaar would have stopped black money. Now Aadhaar is a game changer on land. Priya, if you buy a house today, you have to give your Aadhaar. If you go buy a land today, Aadhaar is anyways gone for registration. It is going. What is this game change? Everything is a master stroke by this man. 10 years से master stroke ही करो और master stroke आएगा ही नहीं. अभी भी long term ही होगा. भैया, already you give Aadhaar. Why Aadhaar is failing? Let's go to that. Because you don't have data protection. So your numbers are roaming everywhere. Everyone's doing frauds. Everyone's using Aadhaar and PAN card for different things. That is what they've not addressed. That has not been addressed. Oh, master stroke now Aadhaar for stamp duty on land. पहले ही आधार ही जाता था और क्या जाता था एज योर प्रूफ और क्या जाता था बताइए मुझे passport कौन दे रहा था which farmer was giving a passport this business of everything being a masterstroke of Modi ji must stop. We must criticize him where he's wrong. And this increase of tax net, first of all, GST is an indirect tax. I was talking about direct tax. Let's not go about indirect tax. Now let's come to a direct tax. This net increase in direct tax has been proportion from 2004, or actually prior to that, from the time of liberalization, the tax net has increased proportionately. Roughly about 18 to 25% gap has been increasing every year. The tax collection coming in. Has it substantially gone up to 80, 85%? No, it's still that same rate. From the 90s till today, what has been the substantial growth in the thing? It's been exactly that pattern. But what they do, they'll take figures of the 90s, or perhaps Nehru's year, then they take this figure and they say, look at the substantive growth. You talk year-wise and you'll come to know year on year. They haven't increased it substantially. Otherwise, why do they have a fiscal deficit?
Sandeep, your last word on this.
No, I don't want to get into this. These are, very, very convoluted and disingenuous arguments which has been made, each one of them. Okay, so I don't
What
want to,
about the opposition strategy?
That is a different point. Let's come to that. So when you're talking UPI on land, it is not Aadhaar on UID on land. It's not for your tax alone. Today, you and I, if we go to buy land, you go to Gurgaon, you go anywhere, you don't even know whose land it is. People like, Tehsin's friends who go to buy stuff in Goa, so many people are getting duped, but they go and pay somebody for the land and then they find some other owner coming up. So the identity of the land, those are issues which are coming there. So let's be clear on some of these points. And I would, before we move on to the opposition reaction, again, you see the point which every budget is a political reality. Okay, people are calling this a Kursi Bachao budget. People have cited how Manmohan Singh had to take a total U-turn because of pressure from the left government to save his, left parties to save his government at that point in time in his budget. So some of that, but under the political reality, what say Modi has done for Andhra and Bihar, I think is remarkable because these are positive interventions. And I think they must give credit also to the ally, especially Chandrababu Naidu, that he, instead of asking for some soft special status, he wanted investment because he also understands that that is what is going to turn around his state. So he has asked for that. Bihar had gone on a regression mode after Nitish Kumar's first term and partly second term. First term was actually, apart from law and order, that's when you saw the first wave of roads, bridges, everything. Second term also got a few things like electricity, but that all went onto a slide back. But now that you're bringing in investment, bringing in the corridors, it's going to help. And Mr. Modi is one person who understands that you cannot have development in isolation. If you don't connect, you may be having development in UP, but if you don't extend it down further east, it's not going to do. So therefore, this is essential to have a development of Bihar, and hopefully at some stage, Bengal will also come into that circuit, which is not happening. So some of these are, I think, well thought out. And you see, everybody talks, and I think yesterday, one nailer, he said, people are talking about Agniveer and saying that he's done it for pension. He said, Agniveer ka pension that due hoga, I will be 105 years old. Do they think that I'm looking at my 105 years old think what I'm going to save in budgets then that I'm doing. So I think these are very nice political arguments. What you are talking about opposition, I think opposition is getting their act together. They are making the right noises. They're doing more, I think, sensible coordination is happening. There will be friction. There will be little fireworks, everything there. And BJP right now, I think, is a little bit in disarray, not because of this issue, but I think because of the political reasons, Gaditi knows everything, whatever is happening, I think people are slightly, disjointed
Distracted.
to give a cogent response to this situation. It finally all boils down to the Prime Minister and a few people to answer.
Good point. Quickly, Tehsin, we're out of time, but here you.
Just two quick points. Again, this argument of Benami property is so flawed, so flawed. Let's assume Sandeep is a rich politician or a rich businessman like he is, a billionaire, and he has a small person like me working for him. He will use my Aadhaar card and buy the property on my name. How does this solve the Benami problem? It is as harebrained as the demonetization idea.
It's
It doesn't
not a
solve it, right?
Benami
The
problem.
No, one second, please, Sandeep.
No,
I didn't
Tesin,
interrupt
it's
you.
not
No, you
Benami.
finish after I finish.
No, you're putting
Allow me to
putting
finish, no,
words
please.
into my mouth.
Sandeep,
Okay,
Sandeep,
finish
allow
it.
me to finish. Allow me to finish.
Finish.
Allow me to
Okay,
finish.
he just corrected
Yeah,
what he said.
you just said that somebody else will come and claim the property. So somebody is claiming a property, whatever the fraud and all. Let's say I want to do the fraud. Let's say Sandeep wants to do a fraud, right, with me. He will anyways he'll have his Aadhaar card. If you can put his name on the property 911 documents, he can put the Aadhaar card attached, the Xerox of the Aadhaar card. What is this? How does that work? That doesn't work. That solves nothing except one extra document to be put in. It solves nothing. Now let's come to what they've done to the middle class. Now they've taxed the I'm very pissed off about this. They've taxed
I
rent.
know.
They've taxed rent from house income. Okay. So if you have a house and you've given it on rent, earlier you could offset it against your business income. Now they've taxed it completely as a separate income, which means after a flat 30%, you have to pay taxes. So if I buy a house and I want to give it on rent, you're not allowing me to do business. Again, you've completely destroyed the real estate market. What they've done now, who buys a house? Every single Indian, the richest man in India or the poorest man in India. Every Indian has one dream, to buy a house. You've completely destroyed that. You've completely destroyed it. That is what this government has done.
This is a total distortion. Okay, I am a chartered accountant of 40 years of qualified. House rent income was always taxed. If you are buying real estate for commercial use, that's when you get into
Daddy, I'm not talking about commercial use.
Don't teach me
Okay.
clause.
Okay, we'll have another discussion on this.
No, there are a couple of points. Again, when you have, this is again a flawed argument, people fleeing to Dubai. Why are they fleeing to Dubai? The rich people. And you were saying taxing, Aditi, you were saying taxing top, they'll go more. They're going because Dubai has made it such an attractive destination. People even who have moved earlier to other places like Singapore, London, they're also moving back to Dubai, changing their base because so you create that kind of an island and in a place which has got good living conditions, which is close to Bombay and India. You will go. If tomorrow, you create that in Sri Lanka, a great place, a lot of people will move to Sri Lanka for that.
He's not denying what I said. He's not
But
denying
nobody's
what I
moving to
He's
India.
not
is what
denying
he
what I
said.
said. He's not denying what I said.
How many people, Tessie?
Justify Modi ji on everything.
The problem is, the problem is the non-middle class are more concerned about
Justify
middle
Modi
class.
ji, karo, yehi karo, justify karo.
Next time we'll have a show on the middle class and we'll begin
Modi
by
ji ka
defining
master stroke.
it.
Modi ji ka master.
Okay.
Is not for
Thank you.
Benami. Aadhaar is the point you're saying. Let it be in my servant's name or some Bhatesin servant's name to have that property or the
I have
driver's
no
name.
servant.
But okay, you know that person, then you don't have somebody coming out of the blue to say my great grandfather owned
This is my
How
property.
are you going to know kiska
Okay.
Aadhaar hai? How do you know unless you take the documents?
भैया
क्या argument है ये?
I'm going to
politics करना है आप politics करो, but don't distort facts. That is disingenuous. I expect better from you, Tessie.
No, Sandeep. Explain to me. No, explain to the viewers of.
Okay, I'm going
explain
to
the
call
viewers
you
of.
back for
One
another
second.
conversation. We are
One second.
totally out of time.
You are
This is not
misleading
for
the
air.
viewers.
No, you are misleading, Sandeep.
No.
Tell me, how would say I want to buy a land from you? Just
Tessie
because your
and
Aadhaar
Sandeep,
is, how do I know? How do I know your Aadhaar is put there? Without breaking the data protection
Points have
laws.
been made, but we are going to come back, Tessie, and we've got the points. I'm going to use this as a show for next week. But for now,
Nothing
thank you both
personal.
very much.
Nothing personal.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.